adapting the short
Yeah.
that you made into a feature, what were some of the challenges?
Well, the biggest one was the way the short was kind of constructed was one guy alone in the room for half an hour with the mirror. So the first challenge was how do you make that a feature length without making it real boring? Because it was like, how can we possibly keep people's attention for 90 minutes if it's one guy alone? So it was really like, how do we take the DNA of the short and what people were responding to, which seemed to be the lore of the mirror, kind of the history of the mirror, and that sense of tension that was never really let up on in the short. Like, how do we possibly sustain that level of tension for a feature length? So it took a long time to kind of crack this idea of splitting that character into two and letting one be kind of a believer in the supernatural and letting the other be a counterpoint that could vocalize what a lot of the more jaded horror fans would probably say when they sat in the movie, which is, a haunted mirror sounds ridiculous. Why don't you just smash it? You know, where's the other explanation for this? It's like, give all that a voice. And then finally, it took many years, but once we kind of, once we partnered up with Intrepid Pictures and they wanted to develop the feature, and not as a found footage movie, which is what everybody else wanted to do.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, everybody wanted to. Once that kind of clicked, and we had the two storylines, and it was like, well, let's just braid them really specifically and try to find a way so that we're watching two stories that eventually come together in a way that we can't tell the difference between them any longer.
And what was your reservations towards found footage? You just didn't see it as that? You didn't envision
Not for
it that
this
way?
story.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was, for me, the thing with found footage is the minute you're looking at the footage, everything in the frame has to be objective. There's no room for ambiguity or doubt. And this was a story for me that was about subjective reality and kind of being able to show you something and then double back and be like, but what we showed you might not have really happened. And you can't do that on found footage, you know? Like, it's the eye of God, essentially. So it was more that, for this particular story, that format would have boxed us in to kind of having to, the minute something scary happened, you could never go back and offer another explanation, which meant you would have had to hold back the supernatural elements till toward the end, and then I don't know what we would have done.
And is that where overlapping the two storylines, these two timelines came together?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was like, if we could do it in a way that, as our characters have to question what they're seeing, the audience then has to circle back and question what we've already seen, like that could be really exciting. If there was a way to give a viewer the same experience the characters were having with the mirror, then that would be really cool. And since they're dealing with memory and unreliable memory, if we could create that same feeling in a viewer by just braiding these storylines to the point of disorientation, like that could be really cool. Or, you know, there was a concern that it would be too complicated and that people would reject it for that. But we kind of went into it with the idea that a viewer is a complicated and complex individual, and they will respond positively to entertainment that assumes that.
Last thing, let me ask you about your two female leads. Karen Gillan and Katee Sackhoff are amazing. Were you big fans of Doctor Who and Battlestar Galactica?
I am a huge Whovian, big nerd for the show. Same with Battlestar. So it was kind of like, for me, I had to balance like the excitement of being able to work with these amazing actresses, but also just being a really kind of like rabid fanboy who was just like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I get to see them. Like, this is really awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a dream come true for me as a fan, and then it was also a really marvelous experience professionally, because once we kind of got past all the Doctor Who and all the Battlestar geek outs that I would have, it's like once we got past that and got to work, it was really exciting to kind of see them doing things that I hadn't seen them do before.
Well, they're great in the movie, and congratulations.
God, thanks.